Okay, well, it's our first episode. I'm Brenna.
I'm Meagan.
And we are not your mommy. Do you want to get into a little bit about, why we started the podcast?
Yeah. I think that we both, after becoming moms, felt pretty passionately about just like gender roles, and we were listening to different stories from some of our friends, and then obviously personal experiences that we've had, and how different it is once you become a mom in your marriage and just in general life. And so we thought it might be a topic of conversation that resonates with many other moms, many other dads, people wanting to become moms.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like they can't really talk about it or bring it up to their partner. So really wanted to kind of develop some communication lines to be like, oh, wow, I heard this. I'm not the only one that feels this way. This is hard.
Yeah, no, I think so many people feel like, oh my gosh, I can't say anything.
Which is also why we're drinking.
Yeah. Cheers.
You can't be a mom without wine. Okay, continue.
I think that a lot of times you feel kind of alone in the fact that, oh my gosh, why am I struggling so hard with this? My friend has 4 kids and she doesn't struggle, and
she's fine. Or look at those beautiful pictures she posted on Instagram. Like, how is all her kids smiling and none of them are crying?
Right, and so you just feel kind of isolated in the fact that your kid's the only one having meltdowns. What are you doing wrong? It's so hard to get out the door. And so you kind of take so much blame on yourself, and just kind of expressing that and having it be more like, hey, me
socially
too.
Acceptable,
yeah. To say you're struggling without then feeling like, oh, I'm complaining because, and so I think that a lot of that kind of feels
I'm
like
not grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
I really should be enjoying these years. Like, everyone tells you it's fine. You should be enjoying it. Like, it'll go so fast.
So fast.
Yeah, it's going to go fast, but I'm not enjoying it right now.
And that's okay. Like, I think a lot of it is where you put a lot of pressure on yourself to be enjoying those moments so often, and then you find yourself not, and then wondering, like, what's wrong with me? Why do I not enjoy spending time with my baby? Why do I not enjoy this? But, I think probably a lot of that came about, because we've kind of experienced all ends of the spectrum as far as being a stay-at-home mom, being trying to work with your kid,
right?
And then also being working moms and having your kids in full-time daycare. So just like a broad experience of all the things that you can experience.
Right. We determined that we were working first, and then we obviously determined, we were like, hey, we want to try the stay-at-home mom, and then we determined that was really, really hard. That was way harder than working. So now daycare is the better option while we're working.
Yeah.
It gives you a little bit more variety, I think. But there's great stay-at-home moms, and that's better for them in their situation. But we don't know how the stay-at-home moms do it. Part of why we wanted to start this, or have conversations about it, was because everything you're hearing while when we became a stay-at-home mom, basically people's viewpoint of that, or viewpoint of moms, it's almost like, hey, you're just getting to stay at home with your kid. Like, you're not really doing anything. You just sit and play with your kid all day.
Yeah,
I would love
awesome.
to do that. That's easy. Like, it's not considered a job, but yet it's the hardest job that there is. Right. And you don't get paid for it, and you just get yelled at all day. So there's no gratification from it. You're not you're with your kid all day, which is awesome, but it's exhausting and tiring. And if your kid is crying all day or won't let you put them down all day, it's very demanding. And then when you start getting kind of resentful, I feel like, of your husband, because when he gets home, you're like, take this baby. I cannot have this baby anymore. And so then I think it puts some stress on your marriage as well. And your partner thinks they're doing everything they need to help you. And it's just not everything that you need, because you need them to take that baby at 3 p.m., not when they get back at 6.
Yeah, no, I think that's really challenging, and we experienced that for sure, because we were used to working, and then our husbands, I mean, obviously everybody has their own experience, and husbands are never going to have the experience of being a stay-at-home mom, really. I mean, there's some stay-at-home dads, and that's phenomenal.
We know some dads that watch their kids while they work.
While they work too.
So,
So there are many ends of the spectrum, but like they're not going to be the, you know, your kid is solely reliant on you type of, like when babies are babies, a lot of the times, you know, you're breastfeeding or whatever might happen and the baby is so reliant on you. I think that they have a totally different experience in that first.
And you typically the mother's majority, the default parent, no matter how you're set up.
Right. So their experience a lot of times is different, and that, you know, that's not bad. But I think opening up, like you said, opening up those lines of communication to realize that, you know, they have a different experience, but how can I step up for my wife?
What can I do to help?
Yeah. If it's okay, hey, the baby's really reliant on my wife right now. She's breastfeeding. You know, maybe the baby doesn't like me. that's hard for dads sometimes
for dads too. Yeah. Every time you give the baby to the dad, they start screaming.
And so it's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. And then it's like, okay, well, I think you should turn your focus to your partner.
Yeah. What do they need?
And what do they need? And I think that's where we see, like, I don't know, personally, it's my favorite thing to watch new parents. And I mean, we went through it not that long ago. And so watching relationships evolve and go through that strain of being a new parent is always very, very interesting. And watching, in my experience, the dads and just kind of whether or not that they're very understanding of their partner's needs.
Right.
And most of the time, in my experience, they're not as understanding of their partner's needs because it's completely different than what their partner needed before.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the understanding that's missing. And I think a lot of times women misunderstand their husband's needs too. But I think in that moment, obviously there's more focus on, hey, what my wife's going through so much. Like,
I just carried this baby for 9 months. I most likely didn't have a great pregnancy. Like, it was probably pretty hard for me.
Yeah.
Then I birthed this baby, and now either I had a C-section or I'm recovering, I'm breastfeeding, I'm not sleeping. Like, the dad might not be sleeping either, but it's a lot of changes for the mom hormonally as well. And you deal with postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression. That's a lot more often than is talked about, or, you know, you don't want to say, oh, I'm really struggling and I think this is worse than normal. I might need some, you know, some help through this.
But a lot of times, like the OBGYN, like you'll be like, hey, I'm having this experience.
Oh, that'll happen.
Totally normal.
That'll happen to you. Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem like that should be necessarily normal when there's
not a lot of help after you give birth. What do you do now? And I think it's a struggle because the dads, there's phenomenal fathers out there. There's very supportive husbands and that really help you through, you know, navigating having a baby. But then there's also dads that are they're still selfish, or they're not thinking of your needs, and they're there when you ask them to hold the baby. Okay, I'll hold the baby for a little bit, but the mom is expected to take on everything still. So you're expected to take care of the baby. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you're expected to take care of the baby the whole day. Then you're expected to have, you know, cook dinner. You have dinner ready. And then you're cooking with your baby. Yeah, neither of us cook, but other people do.
Yeah.
So you have to cook dinner. You have to get your food ready. You might have a toddler at home, so then you have to get food for them. You are expected to take care of your house. You clean the house. You pick everything up. You pick after your children. You do the laundry, which that's kind of a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, I mean,
with your kids' laundry.
Yeah.
You're breastfeeding, or you're pumping and bottle feeding, or you're formula feeding. But you're just the feeding aspect of feeding the kids. That's a whole other thing too. So you're running the household. You're taking, for most cases, you're also taking care of your husband, which is
a whole
other topic of conversation. Kind of how we got our name, because we are not our husband's mother. But you see that a lot. That's expected, where your husband wants you to take care of them too. So you're taking care of the baby.
Not even want, just like it's expected. You know, it's like, oh, okay,
I'm not going to pick up. I'm not going to do things on my own. You know, my wife's got it. My wife handles it.
Yeah.
So you just end up handling everything, and then you're completely overwhelmed, completely overloaded, and it's just expected. You've always taken care of everything, so it's expected to continue to take care of everything. Yeah. Then you have your baby that you're taking care of. You know, the dad is helping, you know, on or off, or, you know, if you have a very supportive partner, then it's 50-50. How it should be is you have a 50-50 partner. You are we can take it back to you're a stay-at-home mom. So if you're a stay-at-home mom, your job is to take care of the kid. If you're not being paid, or you're not being paid, obviously, but that is your job. And you're technically saving your household a lot of money by doing that. It's expensive. Daycare is expensive. So that's your job. Your partner goes out of the house and does his job. So you're both doing your job during the day. Then your partner comes home, and now it becomes your joint responsibility and your joint job, because it's not just, oh, my partner gets home from work, now he needs a break because he's been working all day.
But that's what you see so many
That's
times.
what you see.
I vividly remember, and my husband will tell you too, like he was like, he works a really stressful job, and he's like, I just got
break
home, like, can I just have 15 minutes to like decompress? Like I need a break. And it's like,
where was my break?
I get where you're coming from, but then where's my break?
Right.
And so then it's like,
because I just worked my job, and so I would also like a break, but we both committed to this decision of a baby together, so now we are both parenting when we get home.
Yeah,
so
it's a real give and take, I think, and learning and always adapt, kind of forever adapting that. I mean, it's a work in progress always. But
it shouldn't be, then you come home, the dad gets the break, and then you're continuing to take care of the baby, or then now it's your responsibility to cook dinner, it's your responsibility to clean up the house.
Yeah, because it does seem whenever the mom gets a break, then it's, okay,
now I can shower.
I haven't really done anything all day. Now I can shower, or now I can do the dishes, or now I can do the laundry.
I can clean the house. That's my
break. So there's never really a break, because then you get to nighttime. And so many of the times, I mean, we've had so many comments of, it's like, even our dad is like, oh, well, like somebody has to sleep at night. And so you have a newborn who's not sleeping. And then guess what? It's the mom's responsibility to wake up throughout the night, overnight. So then
it's 24 hours.
It's a 24-hour job. And depending on how well your kid sleeps, like you may be actually working for like 22 hours out of the 24-hour day. And I mean, at what point is that?
It's not sustainable.
That's not sustainable for anybody. And so many moms
do that for years.
And years, because then you have another kid, like whatever your situation is, it just keeps happening, and you just feel like you're like treading water, but you just do it because you're a mom and you have to. And so, I think that gets really overwhelming for moms. And so
you're always overstimulated too.
You're overstimulated. Like a lot of the times you just don't feel like, I think part of what's really hard about being a stay-at-home mom is, and I really envy those moms that are so good at being stay-at-home moms, because they get fulfillment from their children, and that they're, like that's the most important years of their kid's life. Like that's amazing. But you can say that, and then whether or not you actually get fulfillment from that is like really tough. And for me, I think that was kind of what was hardest, is not feeling like I was accomplishing anything, even though I know like you're
raising your kids. That's the most important thing.
Really important. But for me, I didn't feel like I was accomplishing anything. And so as a very accomplishment-based person, that was what was hardest. And then not feeling like I had the support that I needed. And then if you ask my husband, he would absolutely feel like he was the most supportive partner, and really stepped up and was doing whatever he could. And so there's different viewpoints of everything. And so I might not feel like I'm being supported the way I need. My husband feels like he is supporting me. And so then there's that, real headbutting and starting to resent each other for different things.
It just adds up. And if you can't communicate about it in the right way, and then the resentment just keeps building, and they think they're giving you what you need, you're not receiving what you need.
And just like even outside influences or opinions too are so interesting.
Everyone has an opinion, right?
So
you can't win either way. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you're lazing around with your baby all day. That must be nice. It's so easy. So nice. And if you go back to work, when I went back to work, I had this lovely man in the office that came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, how old are your kids?" And I told him how old they were, and he was like, "How are you going to do this? Like, how are you going to work? Like, your kids need you. This is the most important of your time. They're learning. They need you right now. Like, who's going to take care of them?" It's like, well, their father, or, daycare, who has qualified teachers that are, probably much more qualified to watch my children than I am. So, and then they make you feel bad for trying to prioritizing yourself, or doing anything for yourself, or enjoying having a job and getting that
spending
the whole day with your children. Like, we still get plenty of time with our kids. Like, we love hanging out with our kids. It's fantastic. And there's plenty of time when you're not working that you still get to raise your children. It's not like you're giving up on raising them, but you have that mindset, well, you should probably be taking care of your kids. Yeah. Why aren't you doing that? You're not good enough to take care of your kids.
There's so many polarizing opinions around the whole thing, the stay-at-home mom thing, the working mom thing, and that's where it's like you said, you know, you really can't win because somebody's going to have an opinion.
Yeah, one way or the other. But it's whatever works best for your family, obviously, and whatever works best, whatever feels best for you, like wherever you are able to be your best self for your kids. If you're not your best self being at home all day, then that's what we figured out. You know, we were better for our kids when we were trying to do something and getting back into a career. We showed up better for our kids that way, and for our husbands better that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's you know, adapting to the different schedule with that too. That can be really tough. Also, I think. Because, you know, you're not with your kids, you have a set amount of time with your kids, and then it seems like everything goes wrong when you get home and you have those 2-3 hours with your kids. Then it's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, so there's a lot of pressure no matter what you do, and just it's
hard no matter what.
Yeah, it's hard navigating for sure. But kind of like you said, if you do have a support system, whether it's family or, you know, your husband or whatever it might be, I think that makes it a little bit easier, at least, to feel like you have friends that have been through it or know what you're going through. But I mean, we still know people that have friends that have been through it and are still navigating going through it as a first-time mom and really, really struggling. Yeah. And I think that if you talk to them, then, you know, their partner would probably say that they think that they're being supportive and they would have the same give and take. I think it's kind of more normal than is talked about to really go through this struggle of being a first-time mom. How do you relate to your partner? How do you support your partner both ways? Because you guys both do have a different experience with having a baby and all of this.
I would prefer to be the father.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're a mom, then you're like, okay, well, that looks easier. Like, sign me up for that one. Like, people always joke and be like, maybe I should try sleeping on his side because he cannot hear
the monitor from there. Yeah.
And I remember, like, I heard somebody, I think it was some podcast person, I don't remember who it was, but they said that, okay, well, my wife birthed the kids, so I wake up with the kids at night.
I showed my husband that video. He literally said she birthed 3 children, so her job is done. It's my responsibility to wake up with all 3 children throughout the night. So I showed my husband that video, and he started waking up with the kids.
I also did, and then
he still couldn't hear the monitor from his side. Yeah,
even though he doesn't sleep very well supposedly, and isn't ever sleeping. But whenever the monitor is going off, he is sleeping. So yeah, I think I probably could count on one hand the amount of times that he has gotten up with the kids throughout the night. And obviously now he is much better. Like, our daughter was sick last night and he was getting up with her while she was throwing up. I still have a problem with other people throwing up, even if it's my kid.
You were throwing up in the background.
Literally, yeah. It's really concerning. But yeah, no, I think he's getting better. But now our daughter's 2.5. We've been there, done that, kind of. And so it obviously either gets better or gets worse, depending on how you handle those resentments and situations that have happened. But yeah, I mean, our daughter, when she was young, she would wake up every 45 minutes. Like, regularly. And so
that's clockwork. That was fun.
Yeah, no, I didn't sleep, and she was breastfeeding, and that was like 8 months at least. And I think he woke up maybe a handful of times, and you know, he had to work, so he had to be fresh. And I guess I didn't need to be fresh. I don't know.
You looked so fresh.
Yeah. No, I never really feel fresh. But I think that's why you look at moms and like,
it looks so tired.
Yeah, they just look so tired. And I'm just like,
you just feel bad. Yeah. But there are a lot of very supportive dads that you're like, I wish everyone could just copy exactly what they do, you know, and see
how
it benefits the mom too. And I think it does help reduce your anxiety that you have with everything, your, you know, how you feel after, because you're having a joint partner 50-50, you know, you have that kid taken care of when they get home 50-50, you know, you're not feeling as resentful because he's always there to support you with what you need.
Well, just the appreciation too, though.
Yeah, you're showing up and saying, hey, I don't know how you do this right now. This is, I very much appreciate what you're doing. I don't know how you're doing it. And so giving you that validation.
Because you're not going to get that anywhere else either,
No.
though. Like,
and that's who you need it from.
You're always going to have those people that are, you know, doubtful of how hard it is to be a stay-at-home mom, or making weird comments, or like, it's just so strange to me why we're not more supportive of moms.
Yes, everyone should be just, how are you doing this? And there's just people, there's I think men out there, and women as well, but women are always criticizing other moms are criticizing moms, and then, you know, there's still men. We had a conversation with a guy the other day. Meagan and I and our sister were sitting there, and he was telling us, you know, that this is still someone's viewpoint, that a woman's job is to just give birth to babies, and you're basically here to procreate, and that's your job. I'm here to provide, and your job is to, you know, have kids.
Yeah.
Which that's slightly offensive.
I think that now we are on the other side of probably being too far, like, just very triggered by a lot of people's comments. Yeah. And, you know, my husband was joking, oh, well, you're just a feminist now. And it's like, hey, man, like, I really, very much appreciate these women and what everyone's doing. I'm in awe of all of my friends who are moms. I mean, I'm in awe of a lot of people, whether or not you're a mom, but just to take it to another level of, you know, what these women do and how impressive it is. And then you see those situations, and once again, this is not it's a broad generalization, obviously, but you do see those situations where you're just like, what are you doing, man? Like, your wife is amazing. You don't appreciate her, and she's doing everything is that, oh, well, I provide for the family. I'm providing the money. I'm giving her a great life. That's all I have to do. Yeah. As long as I support them, which that's great. Yeah. But what about the rest of the things? What about the rest of the? Yeah. I could care less. There's so many other things that you need to do to support your wife. Are there that they were like, okay, well, great. You sit here and take care of the kid. I'll go provide. Absolutely. I'd prefer to provide. Yeah. That'll be a break. Yeah. I get to leave the house. That's a break. That's a break. And it's like, I think, you know, like, my husband will sit there and tell you too, like, yeah, working is a break. And I think that that's offensive to a lot of guys if you sit there and say, dude, your job's kind of a break. Bit of a break. It's a bit of a break, and you don't have screaming children at you all day. You get to talk to adults. It's obviously different. You get to interact with people, and you know, you can go back and forth on it a lot. But you know, the drive in the car, your commute home, that's a break. Right. And there's your decompressing time right there. There's your time, and so I think you start to learn that. I mean, at least, I think if you ask my husband, he would be like, yeah, absolutely. That's a break. I wouldn't want to stay home with these kids. Like, whose kids are these? I don't know. They're not ours. We don't claim them. But there's so many moms that have a 1-year-old or, you know, their baby's over a year old, and they have not gotten to have more than a couple hours away. Not even a couple hours. A couple hours might be rough, but a day away, that's unheard of, or a couple days away would be crazy. We went to Greece for 7 days. Seven or eight days. We both have a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old, basically. So we got so many comments that how are you able to do that? Who's watching the kids? Like, how your husband is a saint. How is he doing that? How is he able to do that? We're like, well, that should be normal. Everyone should be able to do this. Yeah. You should be able to leave your kid and with providing no instructions at all. That's the thing. Yeah. You mental load of you have to, if you leave, you have to create this whole list for everyone. But you should be able to leave, not say a single thing, and your husband and the dad knows exactly how to parent their kid. Yeah. They do everything how it doesn't have to be exactly your way, but they handle it no problem with no instructions, and it should be easy. And every mom should be able to be, if they want it, should be able to step away for a weekend away,
something to get a break, and their husband can do exactly what needs to be done without you having to worry about it, provide a list, instruct it, check in all the time. It should be handled. Yeah. And that is so rare. Yeah. And that does not happen for most people. Or my husband I'll go out for a girls' night or a trip for a couple of days. I come back to Colorado for a couple of days and leave the kids. And people at his office or coworkers will be like, "Oh, you're babysitting the kids for the weekend," and he's like, "No, I'm parenting my children. Yeah. I'm not babysitting them." But that's the concept of it. Is it's babysitting.
The people, some of our friends' husbands are just in awe of Tommy, and it's like, I don't know.
That should be normal.
That's great. That's awesome. Tommy's a great father and a very helpful partner, but like, how is that something that's like on this pedestal as unachievable? And I
think that's what got me thinking about it too, or I was kind of angry about it because everyone was always like, wow, how does he do this? Yeah. And how is this possible? And he's such an amazing, it's so amazing that he can do this. And this should be this is the type of support everyone should get. And this shouldn't be this unachievable standard. It should be the norm, but it's not. And that's why I think it's very hard for it's still hard for me, but it's very hard for a lot of other people because they are not getting support. They're not getting a break. My aunt will say, even if I'm not doing anything, I had a break where I wasn't working at all and my kids were both still in daycare. And I was feeling bad about it. And she was like, no, it's a basic human right to get more than 10 seconds to yourself in a day.
Yeah. Yeah, like, think of how many people it's so hard to just, like, go to the bathroom. Yeah. Like, you literally can't go to the bathroom. Right. And without somebody needing you, somebody calling your name. Like,
you have to go to the bathroom with your baby on your hip because you can't put the baby down. Yeah. And then people will say, oh, just put the baby down. Yeah. Let him cry. But then if you have a baby that's does not want to be put down, it's like a Velcro baby, then they're just screaming constantly. And you don't want to sit there and listen to them scream, and that's triggering as well. Yeah. So,
it is a lot.
It's a challenge.
I think that it's just not talked about enough, and it's not the interesting stories that we have been through ourselves, heard from our friends, heard about our friends, and you're just sitting there like, how are people functioning
on a day-to-day, and then with, multiple kids like this for multiple years, and it's tough,
I think it's, we sit there all the
alcohol,
time. Yeah, well, that too. But we sit there all the time and we're just like, okay, we have 2 kids.
Yeah. Like our friend has 5.
5 or 4. And that's like, holy cow, how are you functioning? Like, are you okay? And very clearly, a lot of times, no, they're not.
No, they're not. They're really, really not. And then there's some people one of my really good friends, she has 2 kids and she works from home and watches her 1-year-old baby. Her son goes to daycare for 3 days of the week, but then the other days she's taking care of her kids while she's working. One of my other friends does the same thing.
It's a no. It's a no for me. We did that for the first 8 months.
8 months, and it was,
well, I think Hayden was 8 months, but I don't remember. I think I've blocked
You block it out,
out a lot of it, honestly, because it's just so much, and somehow you just do it, but then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, no wonder I had so much postpartum depression. I know a lot of the times, obviously that is a chemical imbalance, it's hormone. Like, I did not have any, I don't remember. I think I blocked a lot of that. I know with Ava, I feel like it was easier as far as like the postpartum stuff. And with Waylon, for whatever reason, I had more support, but whether or not it goes hand in hand, I definitely feel like I had more support, but I was 100% going through this postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression with my son. Probably still have, he's a year old now, and how long does that last? I don't know.
We need to get a researcher on what's wrong with us, analyze us.
With some actual factual information. I think, you still look back and you're like, well, I think if I felt more heard or felt more supported, like maybe that would be easier. That would have been easier. Maybe I wouldn't have had as bad postpartum stuff. And then you look at friends who are going through similar things.
Same thing,
You look at their husbands, you're like, bro, step it up. Like, if you were to do this, I guarantee you
she'd feel a lot better.
A lot better. And it's just like, how hard is it?
Yeah.
which a lot of times it's pretty hard apparently because you see the same situations
over
happening
and over and over.
to the same, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, this person, they're going to have a great relationship after kids. Like, it's going to be great. They know how to communicate, you know.
Kid hits,
they
bam.
totally love each other. Kid hits, you're like,
We're divorcing.
That's a different relationship now. And you can see it. You talk to, you know, sometimes you talk to your friends about it. You know, and whether or not that has an impact on people's relationships, I feel like it definitely had an impact on mine.
Yeah. I think most people it does.
Yeah, or whether or not they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're very open. I think we'll make you feel better about your relationship.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make you feel better about most things. Yeah.
Yeah. So just talk to us for a bit, and we'll.
You can listen to this to feel better about yourself. And how I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people also would look at us and be like,
"You've got it all together.
You really have it figured out.
Yeah.
You know, you're really doing this mom thing. You're working. You're so successful, and you know, no.
Yeah, it's hard every day.
Yeah, there's something different you're figuring out, and then just when you feel like you've turned the corner in your
something
relationship
new,
or your anxiety or whatever it is that you're going through, then something else happens, and you're constantly trying to work through
the new struggle.
The new struggle, and I just also don't feel like people have a lot of people to talk to about that.
You don't have a lot of people to talk to, and you talk to your friends, and you don't want to, you know, always be complaining, or you know, you feel like they're going through a lot too, so you don't want to burden them. But you don't have anyone to talk to, so you bottle it up, and then you're just like, I'm not okay, but everyone else seems okay, and then no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think it's such a weird thing to think about, because it's like on one hand it's the best thing you've ever done. And
yeah, as much as we're complaining, it's still the best thing anyone's ever done. Like, it's the greatest joy of your life. But it's through those years, it's very hard.
Yeah, but you can also feel like, I think that's what makes it so hard, is because you know it's amazing to raise your kids, and like you feel like you should be feeling more excited about it, and like, you know, then you're like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, I don't have this connection to my baby that my friend has, or you know,
I didn't immediately have a connection right away when the baby came out. Like, my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, okay, this feels like someone just handed us a baby to take care of, and we don't know what to do with this baby. And I don't know that, I mean, we obviously love the baby, but we didn't feel like this immediately overwhelming, like it was not what we'd seen in movies or heard about. So it took a couple weeks to feel more like connected, and really feel a bond. And I think it takes dads longer too, and then they feel bad because they don't feel this bond right away. But also, I do think when the dads are left alone with the baby to take care of the baby by themselves, or given more time to watch the baby, then they feel more connected. How are you going to feel connected if you barely, like, your wife is holding the baby all day, every day, and you get maybe a couple hours or a couple minutes with the baby a day? You're not going to feel that connected for quite some time. It's never your responsibility. It's never your sole responsibility to take care of. Then that's how a bond forms, is when, you know, it's my responsibility to take care of this baby, and this is my baby too. You know, it's not just, you know, I'm not the babysitter.
Right. Yeah, no, it's hard for sure, especially with young kids. And then, you know, everyone will tell you when you're in it with young kids that, oh, well, it just gets worse. Like, you know, we literally were sitting there with our friend who has a 3-month-old, a 2-month-old, 3-month-old, and someone else was just like
she was saying how hard it was.
She was like, this is really hard, and he literally laughed.
It's going to get so much worse.
It gets so much worse. And you're just
so that made her feel like shit.
Yeah, like, there's maybe, I don't know. There's hard moments of it all, and obviously we don't have older kids, and you know, people watching this will be like, it gets harder.
Like, great.
And that's great, you know, sure.
But I think the baby isn't velcroed to you constantly. You're maybe start sleeping again. Yeah, so it's harder in different ways. Like, you have to deal with real adult problems. Yeah.
But also, like, it's okay to be, like, I'm not a newborn. I'm not, like...
We didn't love the newborn stage.
I don't love the newborn stage. Yeah. And I definitely think, even though I have an insane toddler, I think it's easier than having a newborn. Yeah. I connect more with my toddler than my baby. Like, okay, my baby's cute, but like, you know.
Yeah. He's just sitting there.
Just sitting there. And yeah, so.
He's cute sitting there. Yeah,
cute.
there's not a lot you can do with them.
No.
You know, and so when you get to play with them and talk with them, and then that gets easier. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's easier than not sleeping
Right.
ever.
Right.
Than being so bored because you're just staring at your baby.
Yeah,
And
like let's clap some more.
yeah. What else?
Yeah. High
How about
five.
black sheep? Like, okay, great. How many times?
Let's walk up and down these stairs again. Let's, you know, do a lap around the neighborhood. You feel like you've lived like 10 lives, and you look down at your watch and it's, you know, 7 a.m. because you know they woke up at 5. So you've been up forever, but it's 7. The day has just started, and who knows what you're going to do until, you know, 5 p.m. when your partner's back, and you might get you may or may not.
5 p.m. Good luck.
Sorry, yeah, they're leaving at 5 p.m. But you may or may not get a little bit of help when they get back,
Right.
and so you're just waiting for that.
Yeah, it's very monotonous. I think that, just adjusting to that, or, you know, maybe there's a lot of people that are built differently. And
Or it's the greatest thing ever, that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make me feel any better
Yeah.
about the fact that I don't find it to be
the greatest thing ever.
And I say that, and everyone's like, did she just say that? Like,
Maybe you shouldn't have had kids.
yeah. Like, and, you know, like there's so many people that'll.
We can debate that.
Yeah, I mean, sure, maybe that's true, but here we are. And yeah, no, literally people will say, well, you had kids, like now you signed up for this. Like, you know, now you're going to complain about it? And
Yeah,
like,
I'm going to complain about it. Yeah, I am going to complain about it. And you probably forgot what it was like, or you didn't help your wife at all.
Yeah.
That's why you're like, meh.
No, this is, I think our dad probably had a similar, you know, we remember him being very involved. And
Yeah, he was very hands-on, very supportive. But when we were babies, I think our mother did everything.
Yeah, no, we literally talked to him and we're like.
He had not held a baby, changed a diaper. He slept with earphones, headphones to plug out the noise. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
And he was a fantastic dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
But that's the norm.
That is the norm, especially I think things are changing, or
Yeah,
expectations.
now I think there's much more hands-on dads, and you see that a lot. But I think still it's not up to if my husband is considered to be the greatest of all time, like how can you achieve that level? Then there's something wrong. That should be standard, you know?
Yeah.
So makes me upset for other women that they don't get that support, and you see everyone struggling and so much anxiety.
Well, especially such a
vulnerable time. You're getting judged from all ends. You're getting judged from your friends that don't have babies, from your moms that are in a different situation, from, you know.
I mean, I even do it sometimes. As far as like, oh my, that's easy. You know, like you're like, oh, well, I'm so
I did that differently.
I did this.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, I'm doing it too. You
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
you always get in a situation where like, well, my situation's harder. Like, that's easy.
Yeah.
So you can find yourself doing it too.
Right.
Like, it's like, I literally the other day was like, oh, Mom, that must be nice.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing here? So yeah, no, you can see how it happens. And yeah, it's, I think just understanding that, you know, people have different experiences of everything. Dads, moms, other people. If you're removed from the situation, like obviously now we're removed from having newborns.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. And then now everyone's like, well, when are you having your next one?
Never.
Like, what?
Never.
How?
Why do we have to keep popping them out?
I don't think 3 would be a good choice. But then it's like, you know, you feel like for some reason you still feel like you should have another kid.
Yeah, because you'd be missing out on something. They're great when they're older, but how could you do that right now? You feel like it's physically impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and all the body changes, and I mean the list goes on and on. We haven't even scratched the surface of all the different
things that you have to deal with as a mom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting especially to think about like going back and
doing it again.
Baby.
Yeah.
And so many people do that. Like, and they're like, okay, well, 2 is easy. Like, do 3, and then you really have your hands full.
Yeah.
Understand what being a mom is like, and you're like,
no,
no
thanks.
Like,
don't sign me up for that.
No. And everyone's like, well, it's the best decision I ever made having that third. And I'm like, how? I don't think so.
Maybe a lot of years down the road.
No, but then you got to get back. Like, you're out of it, and then you got to get back into it.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, no, it seems like No, for multiple reasons. But that's probably offensive to some people to say.
Yeah,
well, because there's so many people that want more kids and can't have
right.
more kids.
Right.
And so then you feel like you have to be careful with what you're saying.
Right.
And I think it just is really tough.
So then you can't tell really your situation because you want to be sensitive for people that aren't able to have kids that you are able to have. And so that's a real thing too. Yeah.
And obviously this is a bias of how we feel in the lives that we've lived, in the situations that we've been in,
and our experiences are different than other people.
Are so different.
But this is our podcast, so we get to talk about us.
Yeah, so we get to have the bias. It is, that's how we feel.
Yep. It's the way to feel.
And like I said, I guarantee if you have our husbands on here, they would have some similar things to say. But then, maybe they would have.
They're going to do a rebuttal podcast. Yeah. Not that we really have anything we don't have anything to complain about in comparison to a lot of people.
True.
Yeah.
But then there you go again.
There you go. Then you're comparing.
Then you're invalidating,
Yep.
how you feel because at least my situation's not as bad as that person's situation. So you're like, well, why is that once again the norm? Hey, I had to deal with this.
And you should be okay being like, this is hard for me. I dealt with this. Yeah.
Doesn't seem acceptable to me. But at least
he's not doing that.
Cheat on me, or at least he woke up with a baby, or at least he was a little bit helpful with the baby early. You're always justifying at least. Hey, my situation's better.
Right.
So I think you can be very, very thankful for our situation. Obviously, we have very great situations, but things can also be difficult, and you can also feel
you still be overwhelmed even though you have a good situation, or you can have great family support, and still it's
really, really tough. So
okay, so what were we thinking when we wanted to start the names for this? We were brainstorming a lot of names. Your husband was relatively helpful with the names as well. So let's give you a couple ideas of what her husband thought we should name the podcast, right?
I don't think we need.
I think we should. Yeah. So one of his suggestions, we really wanted to empower moms. That was, why we wanted to start this. We wanted to empower moms. We wanted to really bring to the forefront, hey, this is what everything that is expected of moms. We really need some support, and really talk about that. And so one of your husband's suggestions was moms without vacuums. I thought that was a good one. I liked that one. Because we, it kind of brought into what we were talking about. We didn't want to take on all the household chores. You should be joint helpful with the household as well. Yeah. So that was a suggestion.
Throw a load of laundry in
just
there.
Put it in you got this. So that was one that had nothing to do with the podcast in general, but he was really on board with it. It was a big hit. With the guys, between the double D's. So we thought that might offend, our female listeners as well.
No, I don't know.
It didn't have anything to do with anything. So that was a suggestion. Not his best.
Obviously, we did get a lot of helpful suggestions from him. That was his favorite.
That was his favorite. What we thought we should go with. Played between the ferns, but between the double D's. Sure. Okay. So that was one. What were some other good ones we had? We ended up on Not Your Mommy because obviously it's a play on we're not your mom. We're not going to take care of you, our husbands. We have enough to do. We're not going to. It's expected for us to take care of the husband, and why? We're not going to do that. Yeah. So we're not your mommy.
No, exactly. I think it was
good. It was all encompassing. Yeah.
I don't think he liked it.
He didn't.
No, it wasn't his favorite.
No.
But we don't really care.
No.
We also thought our outfit choice was great.
We liked it. The denim and
twinning. We're always wearing similar things.
Yeah.
And I don't think they liked our outfit.
No, they were like, you didn't want to wear a normal outfit.
You didn't want to wear normal clothes?
So we felt supported.
Yeah. Once again.
Yeah.
But we really
don't care. Yeah. What were some other name options we went through? I can't even remember.
Moms Without Mops.
Moms Without Mops was another one of his. Yeah.
Did Tommy have any good ones?
No, I don't think so. I think he was
maybe
just.
We should have asked.
We should have asked some other people. Yeah, we should have pulled with the name suggestions you got. We should have pulled more people.
Mainly, the ideas were from him.
I'm
curious why.
Yeah, why we did that. No.
But I think that.
I think we ended on a good name. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, the alternative was between the double D's, which is funny. Oh, we did also have Two Moms, One Mic.
Two Moms, One Mic. That was a hit. I liked Two Moms, One Mic, but you know, it brings in other visuals. Yeah.
Which
we didn't want to go there.
You just did.
So that one didn't stick either. Yeah.
I mean, for better or for worse.
Yep. Here we are. Welcome.
Welcome to the show, which I feel like it's been pretty tame. And, you know, we have had multiple different conversations about like what we wanted to talk about, and but I think that we'll probably dive into more deeper things, and
we're gonna have some interviews, have some people on. You know, talk to really successful women.
Stay with us or not. It might be better.
Or don't tune out.
0
to 1 listeners is a good. You know, we feel better with that.
We had to make our husbands leave the house so that
they weren't laughing at us from upstairs.
That gets picked up on the mic, as we found out. Was
they were laughing.
They were making fun of us.
So
maybe 0 to 1 listeners is a better audience
listening point for us.
No, we won't feel.
We hope you enjoy it.
As long as it's good for us, hopefully it's helpful for some other people, and
just you're going through it together. You know,
just you can feel like, hey, I'm not alone in this wild situation.
I can talk about this with my partner. I can be like, hey, I'm not feeling supported. I know that you are trying to help me, but this is what I need when I ask you.
Because that is hard. Like,
it's hard to communicate that because they're trying.
They're feeling like they're doing a great job, and
so you don't want to make them feel bad.
And like I said, there's different experiences, and you don't want to. Our point is not to be like ragging on dads and making it seem like dads don't do enough, but it's like
some don't.
There's some that don't, and there's some that do.
There's some that do, and there's some that are amazing.
But I think they've probably gotten there.
They've gotten a lot of tips, a lot of coaching. They've watched a lot of people that have really been great role models for them, or you know, they listen to their wives.
Once again, feeling like you're being supportive and actually being supportive is very, very different. And I think there's a lot of people that feel like they're being supportive, and if you ask their partner,
they don't feel supported.
On the other way too, like I've been accused of not being supportive, and I'm like, what the heck? Like,
I'm the most supportive person ever.
Literally the most supportive person ever. But it's not in the way that he needs support. And so, I think that's really tough to start to communicate and find how to support your partner in the way that they need support, and if it's a different way because now you're a mom and things look different.
Or if you can't, like you're breastfeeding, your baby doesn't take a bottle. Okay, so then the hours that you spend breastfeeding is exorbitant. Like it's such a time commitment. You're breastfeeding. So there's a lot of things. If the baby doesn't take a bottle, you really can't. The dads cannot help in that way. So what can you do to help? If your partner is breastfeeding, okay, go bring them a water, bring them their phone or something if they're trapped in somewhere.
That brings me to a really good point though, because I think a big issue is that you see that Tommy does really well is like, hey, just look around. And
look around.
Take the initiative yourself. Without
me asking, hey, can you get me a water? I'm really thirsty.
I don't want to have to ask. Like, hey, can you throw a load of laundry in? Hey, can you notice that this needs to be cleaned?
Look around. You see that your wife is breastfeeding this baby,
with your baby.
For hours and hours and hours. I think we looked up how it's like a full-time job breastfeeding around the clock. It was something insane.
I don't know how they calculate that because I don't remember my baby ever not
breastfeeding. So it's a time commitment. So while they're sitting there feeding the baby, look around the house, see what needs to be done. Put laundry in, start cleaning, start doing the dishes. Like there's so many other things.
Like the gender roles, which, like I said, I think is getting better. But like it's, that's not my job.
I'm gonna sit here and take a break while she's relaxing, and then when she's done feeding the baby, then she'll go clean up. It's not my job to take care of this.
To see some of the different things that go on with our friends, with ourselves, and it's like, can you just be like, what
just
would
notice
you do?
That.
Just go above and beyond and realize, hey, okay, well now my wife after breastfeeding, she's gonna get up and she's gonna go cook or gonna go clean or gonna go do whatever is on her list of
maybe take her shower.
Take a shower for once. And why don't I check off some of those to-dos so she doesn't have to do them?
Because now she can relax.
They need to get done in our house. Like it's our household. And I think that's where it's very a parent, a lot of times people's viewpoints on what a woman's role should be and a man's role should be, that, oh, well, that's not my job. I provide for the family.
That's all I need
and
to do.
The wife needs to
do everything else.
Literally do everything else. Which obviously, like I said, is a broad generalization. But I think it is so offensive when we hear that. And then when we see, it's like the mental load. Everyone talks now, I think, about the mental load that women carry versus men. And I think
my husband carries the mental load in our relationship.
Yeah.
He is the woman with the mental load. Like, he's always stressed out about things because I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
He's always thinking about it.
So
but he's planning ahead.
Yeah.
He's doing the grocery shopping. He's doing the cooking. He's helping with the chores around the house. He's doing the laundry. When I say the list out loud, like when I tell everybody like what he does, he's working, he's providing for the family. When I tell people what he does, what he, they're like, well, what do you do? And I have to think for a second. I feel pretty good. Yeah. I feel like I don't have to do a whole lot because he does it. So maybe I should work on taking on more of his mental load. Because he does get a little stressed out. Exactly. But I don't think through everything that he thinks through. But we do handle a lot lot of things together.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Not fair because there are a lot of things that you
I do things, okay? Yeah, I do things too.
We'll just come up with what they are. No, I'm joking.
But most women, they are the ones planning everything.
They have to pack for their kids to go to daycare or pack for whatever they're going on. They have to pack for their husbands. They have to do the entire mental load of pay the bills, whatever it is that's your responsibility, which a lot of the times, if you write a list, I feel like the responsibility is definitely skewed towards there's more responsibilities on the to-do list of the woman. Yeah. And so
your mind is constantly going
and you feel really stressed, and Tommy understands.
Tommy gets that. We'll have him on.
Whereas like somebody that their responsibility, hey, what was on your plate today? And
what can I help you with?
What can I help you with? That doesn't happen often. Like you don't.
I think that should be everyone's thought always is what does my partner need, and how can I help them with this? How can I make this easier for them, and put them first? No, not a lot of people, like you may have a great relationship, may love your partner very much, or be struggling or not struggling, but not a lot of people, the first thing that they do is think about what does she need? What does she need? Not, hey, I'm so tired. What do I need? I need to take a break. I need to sleep. I'm so tired. I'm going to wake up a little bit later. Like, it's not always what does she need. And that should be
also vice versa. And you say the same thing.
And I don't say that enough. So, and that's, but I'm not always like, what is,
okay, that's hard sometimes, to sit there when you're struggling and be like, hey, what does my partner need?
Right.
Like, that's tough. And once again, if you build up a lot of resentments, I don't really care.
I don't care what he needs.
And you're having a hard time right now, so that's not the first go-to thing.
Let's think about
what does my partner need? Like,
let's get through this together. This is hard for them too. And
so that's when the switch, I think, of we're a team.
We're doing this together.
How can we do this together?
We're always a team in this. No matter what happens, no matter how I'm feeling, we're raising these kids together. How can we make our lives easier? Because this can be really freaking hard, and we can make it harder than it needs to be too.
Absolutely.
Like, and this can be,
really I love to do
this
that.
And I can look at people's situation, other people's situation, and be like, if you just fix this one thing, your life would be so much easier. Like, why are you not doing that for her? Or vice versa. But and you can't see it when you're in the situation.
No, not at all. Nor do you want to. And
you're
just like, dude,
it's all him.
This is all his fault. This is definitely, there's nothing I can do better because
fantastic.
Look at him. But I think you can, once you can start to be like, okay, I can see this from the
I can see this from their point of view.
It's so easy to be like, okay, well, look at it from the other person's point of view, and it's like, once again, everything's easier said than done.
Or I find myself getting, like, my husband does do everything. But I'll find myself for the 5 minutes that he's not, okay? I'm alone with the kids for 5 minutes, and I'm like, where is this man? Like, what is he doing? What could he possibly be doing that he needs 5 minutes? Like, you need to be here doing this joint with me, okay? And so I expect, he always says that I expect too much. I'm, expecting more than most people would. But I don't think there's anything wrong with expecting more than most people would. Like, everybody should be expecting more.
Yeah.
But
no, I think that's the problem is people don't expect enough.
You've given up asking for help, and now you're just taking on everything.
Some people don't want to ask for
or
help.
you either don't ask for help, you've given up because you've asked so much, and so now you're just taking on everything, and that's expected, and that's your responsibility because you've always taken on everything, and you're just going to do it, and it gets done better if you do it. You don't have to, it doesn't get done the same way. You don't want to have to give up control necessarily, but so you just end up doing everything and taking on everything all the time because that's what you've always done, and you don't want the help because it's not there if you ask, you're afraid to ask, so.
There's a wide variety of situations that can happen, but, that's why we're
here to talk about it.
We're here to talk about it.
We're here to offend. We're here to talk about it. Yeah.
No, I think all of the above, and it's going to be interesting.
We could get I think your husband was saying they're going to get a rebuttal, not your mommy podcast. So they're going to go through each point and
I think
do a rebuttal.
Really likes to be contrary.
Yeah.
And so that that's
it would get a lot of views too. Yeah.
Another day. I think that they are probably more entertaining.
Yeah.
Than we
more
are.
Laughs.
Definitely more laughs or more people offended, depending.
Probably more people offended, I would say. Yeah.
So, it'll be good.
It's for fun. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening today. If you made it this long, you probably didn't. Let us know, at what time frame you cut off, and you were like, yeah.
When you kept rambling.
When you wouldn't stop talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
You might be wondering what could they possibly cover on the next podcast. We don't know. We might have used all of our material for the first one, so we could be like the first one, and hopefully it's a hit, and then. That's all we got for you guys. Yeah.
That's it.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.